Krishna Prabhus. It's an honor and privilege to be back with all of you. And thank you so much, Ramchandra Prabhu, for your kind words of introduction. So I don't know how many of you recollect the lessons we discussed last time during the last discussion from the six gurus. Does anyone recollect? Earth, wind, sky, water, fire, moon were the six gurus we discussed. So anyone would like to take the lead? How we learned from Earth? The importance of learning to tolerate for the greater good. From the wind we learn to be equipoised, from sky we learn to creating boundaries, from water we learn to be inclusive, from fire we learn to be regulated in habit of eating, sleeping, and from moon we learned the art of dying, how we should be equipoised. So all are interconnected. Tolerance helps in being equipoised. Then we are equipoised, we can create boundaries, we can be more inclusive. At the same time, we have our own boundaries. And then if we are regulated in our habits, that makes a big difference. And then we are not worried about death. The biggest fear in this world which people have is the fear of death. And that's the topic which rarely comes up in any discussions we have in any of the social gatherings or corporate or professional and personal gathering. But unfortunately, that's the reality, which many find it unfortunate. But that's the real exam. And it's an opportunity to achieve something much higher depending on what our consciousness is at the last moment. So now I'll proceed further from where we left. We'll dive deeper into the next six gurus, starting with the seventh guru, which is the sun. And that's something which rarely anyone can avoid, because if you, I mean, the sun is something which rises every single day. Every day in the morning it rises and it sets as per its own time. And what do we learn from sun? From the sun, we learn the art of selfless giving and not getting entangled. Many a times we get entangled, especially when we also are in the mood of giving. So sun evaporates water and then gives it back in form of rains, and it gives in an abundance. We see, I mean, it rains. When without rain, survival would be at stake for every individual. That's the fresh water which we um, get from the sun. So more than receiving the water it takes during evaporation, many a times it gives back manyfold. But when usually, when it comes to giving back, if somebody, abuses it, in India, in Hindi, they abuse if something goes wrong. I mean, if I'm a shaved head person, they say, takle dikta nahi hai, if you make a mistake. Now, the person who's been faced with this situation, he gives it back by saying, Tera baap takla, tera ye takla, tera. So that giving back happens when somebody gives us, or tells us something or abuses us, then we make sure we give it back double. And then that's the reality. But the giving which we are talking about here is the selfless giving, and not the giving from a perspective in a negative way, but more of a positive way. And I recollect, when I was growing up as a child, my mother would often quote one famous Sindhi saying, "One virai sukh pai," which means when you share what you have with others, when you give, you receive much more. And I would never believe in it in her, and I would always argue, can you prove that to me, that when you give, you receive much more? And that's something which never kind of resonated with me for many years. And she would continue giving selflessly, and this is a lesson which actually, out of giving, I would say, not selfless, came still trying, struggling with it, but it's the lesson which I learned in the state of New Jersey. So I think in 1998, that's the time I first arrived in New Jersey, and I had got admission in New Jersey Institute of Technology. And when I left India, I mean, it was through a tie-up which was there between my college in India and the New Jersey Institute of Technology. So when I left India, the Indian side, I mean, the representatives on the Indian side, they said you will get some scholarship when you get there. But when I got there, they said there's nothing we can do for you. And the dean was very specific when he said that. He said, you have come in spring semester. If you would have enrolled in fall, then there was some hope that we would have been able to do something for you. But most of the funding is given in fall semester, but you have come in spring semester. That's the reason we can do anything for you. And he clearly said, you have 6 months time. In 6 months, you have to deposit. In those days, the fees were like for per semester fees were about, I think, $5,700 or to around $6,000. He said $6,000 in 6 months. If you don't deposit, then you're out of, and then you'll have to think of going back to your country. And then in $6,000 in those days was like like a lot of money. It was like climbing Mount Everest for someone um, who came from India, especially from India, because there was a conversion which would take off a dollar to rupee conversion, which made a big difference. So I didn't know of what to do. One of the things was, looking for odd jobs. Someone suggested, why don't you do odd jobs? Because on campus we were only allowed to work 20 hours a week. So till I found something on campus, and and also, I mean, there was limited income you would get on campus. So can I double the income by working on cash, which was not legal, unfortunately. I mean, that's the way it is. So can I get 20 hours of work? So someone said, go to New York City. That's where you'll find some work which is on cash. And I would knock doors at different establishments in New York City, Fifth Avenue, Sixth Avenue. I remember Sixth Avenue and 33rd Street, 34th Street. There used to be many establishments of people of Indian origin. So I started knocking doors one after another and one after another, and then they said, you have come in the end of Christmas. There's nothing we can give you because end of Christmas is end of season. Anything which will come up will be in spring, probably mid March or April. So I was actually, in a hopeless situation. And finally, I bumped into a tall gentleman who heard my story. I actually shared my story with him that why I'm badly looking for a job, because I need to pay for my tuition. In 6 months, if I don't have $6,000, I'll be out of country and I'll have to leave my education halfway. Now he said, leave your documents with us and give me a few days time. You're anyways, looking for something in New York City. After 3, 4 days, why don't you come and meet us again? So after a few days, I went and met him again, and he handed over an envelope. And I didn't know what's inside the envelope. So he said, check it out. And I opened the envelope. It had a check of $6,000. Now the reason I brought this up is now this $6,000 came from the same NGO where my mother used to give regularly when I was growing up, and I would hate her for that because she would, deprive me of good comforts in life and believe in giving. Now the difference between the son and here is son is selflessly giving. Doesn't matter who the person is at the other end. But here the intention was like, if you give, you will receive. The receiving was always something which was driven. So without receiving, I mean, if we are giving, I mean, Srila Prabhupada, the way he was giving is an amazing example. Simply giving and giving and giving at the age of 70, when people retire and live a life of comfort. And he's taking so much stress on him. And before the session, we had the privilege of listening to Srila Prabhupada. So if we dive deeper into this subject, there is another thing which came to my mind. Recently, I was traveling by train, and I was completely exhausted after a day long of work, and I purposely booked a window seat so that I can lean on the window. I didn't want to lean on someone else, the two people who sit in the middle row and on the aisle seat. So when I got closer to my seat, I realized somebody else is sitting on my seat, and I approached the gentleman who was sitting on my seat that, can you please get up because that's my seat. He said, I know, but can you exchange the seat with me? Mine is two rows ahead of where I'm sitting, and it's an aisle seat. And I was like, no, sorry, I can't do that because I purposely booked window seat. I want to catch up on rest. So he got up and left. And after some time, he was sitting with his friends who had the seats in the middle row and the aisle seat where my seat was, kind of booked. So after some time, I mean, the two of his friends and the gentleman who was there, who was standing, and they were eating whatever they had got from their home, and then they started, sharing whatever they had, which whatever they had got from home, and Firstly, I denied them politely, sorry, I can't eat. Then I told them, the reason I can't eat because we don't eat onion garlic. And then he said, we come from Brahmin family, we also offer, we also don't eat onion garlic. And he was very forceful. Now, the point which I'm trying to bring is, if somebody would have, if I would have been in their place, I wouldn't have done that, because what would have played in my mind, or what my mind would have tricked, is saying that, they were not kind to you. They couldn't even adjust for a seat. I mean, you shouldn't be sharing what you have with, or giving them what you have got for yourself. So when it comes to giving, what I learned from that experience is, the giving of ego, which is the most biggest thing and most difficult thing, which actually creates roadblocks in our journey. And then one of the things which I learned, or what can help you in, giving up on this ego, which is a big roadblock, is going on book distribution. It made a huge difference, because you go through a lot of rejections when you are going through a book distribution. Krishna completely humbles you, and at the same time you're selflessly giving. So learning the art of selfless giving, because you're giving the best gift one can ever give to others, is the gift of Krishna consciousness. So here, I mean, we talked about commitment during the last discussion we had. So here the commitment could be, I'll selflessly give at least, 10 books in my neighborhood. I mean, giving here, it will be book distribution, actually approaching people. If you give it for free, people don't value it as much as they value it when they buy the book. So it is a multi-purpose. On the sun, we learn giving, and this is the right thing. You're connecting them with the original Father Krishna by giving them Krishna consciousness. So then it comes to selfless giving. This is something which I would like to share. And then we move to the next guru, which is Pigeon. And this commitment will help you on multiple fronts. It makes you fearless of approaching people. It helps you become good at networking. So many a times, I mean, whatever Ramchandra Prabhu read at the beginning of the session, whatever was in the profile, whatever he read, awards and all, and how I evolved in my corporate journey is all because of networking with different people. And I didn't know how to network, and that networking I learned while distributing books in Krishna consciousness, which didn't have direct monetary return. It had a big spiritual return, but at the same time the returns came monetary also in the corporate world, because that fear was gone. Fear of approaching strangers, fear of um, having conversations with complete strangers, and building on conversations, to taking those conversations to building relationships. So eighth one is the eighth guru, which is Pigeon. Entanglement leads to attachment. So we talked about entanglement, how sun is not entangled, it keeps giving. It's not entangled that it expects that I want to get return on my investment of giving. It doesn't get entangled into it. So then the eighth one goes that entanglement at times, if we get entangled, it leads to attachment for receiving, which is harmful. And here Srila Prabhupada talks about, we learn about the eighth guru, which is Pigeon. Avdut Brahman learns from this eighth guru, which is the Pigeon. And Pigeon is overly attached to his wife, to his children, and then eventually sometimes, some hunter or someone causes harm to his children. And the wife of a pigeon, she leaves, and then she leaves him, and eventually we see the pigeon is at times becomes loner, and he ends up being in depression, and is overly attached. You see, I mean, continuously, if you have observed pigeons, they're continuously with their a male partner would be with the female partner, and vice versa. They're continuously sticking to each other throughout the day. And that addiction is detrimental. Any kind of attachment, and we read in Nectar of Devotion, Anya Bilashita Shunyam Jnana Karmani Anavritam Anukulena Krishnanu Shilanam Bhakti Uttamam. So even that one attachment can actually be a roadblock between us and Krishna. So that happens. And when I think about the attachment, I remember when I left the Mahindra Group, which was one of the prestigious groups in India. I had hard time in the initial days, because I was used to certain comforts, certain luxuries, which came with the part of the uh, you know package which was part of pay package. In addition to pay package, part of the title which I was holding, the leadership position. And then that was like a drug addiction, because every 30th, on 30th of the month, you get a paycheck which comes into your account. In addition to that, when you travel to different places, they book you in five-star hotels, they book you, you have a dedicated car which is with you if you're traveling to other cities. Now, when I moved to, being on my own, and if I would have continued with that kind of standard, my entire business would have collapsed before even making a move of making some cash. So that was very difficult to come without, from a mindset of living in comfort to the mind had, I've got addicted to something, some kind of a very different standard, or got attached to it. And always traveled by flights. And then in the entrepreneurship, then I had to travel to Bangalore. And on one occasion, I realized Bangalore ticket is more than Mumbai, Dubai. It was coming to about 35,000. And I was like, oh my God. And when I was in job, I never thought about, how much does it cost. So then I realized in going to Bangalore by train, it will take 24 hours. So instead, first time I realized, okay, from Mumbai to Hyderabad, it's an overnight journey. Hyderabad to Bangalore is overnight journey by train. And Bangalore to Chennai is overnight journey by train. So then instead of going by flight, I leveraged on going by train, and I saved a lot of money there. And at the same time, instead of staying in five-star hotels, I started staying in ashrams. Then I realized, oh my God, there is a double benefit. One, you're spiritually also getting enlightened, spiritually also you're evolving, and the money which you're giving actually is being used in a meaningful way. And it's being used in service of Krishna. So that those are the changes which I bought, and I realized I was more happier here, in spite of sleeping on the floor in the ashrams. Getting 6 feet by 2 feet space. And the best part was you get to attend the morning program every day, and the entire day was blissful. And I was reflecting. I wish I could have done this during while I was working with the in the corporate world. So this is second, and one of the things I think the attachment in the previous one we talked about, selflessly giving. Without being attached. And the best thing you can give is ego. Here, what we can give is credit. Many a time there is that attachment towards credit. We are hungry for credit. Hungry for credit. Oh, I did this, I did that, I did this, I achieved this. We are attached to those lot of those things which come with those success, and those that those elements of success get into our head. And we start thinking that we are the masters. And the moment we think we are the masters, we end up being the biggest disasters in this world. So giving attachment to credit, it's something which can help us evolve. Giving attachment to credit, and second is giving attachment to comforts in whichever ways we can. And the best of the innovation in the world, they talk about innovation, comes from constraints. But unfortunately, we want to be too comfortable in the world we live in. So that could be the commitment, that I'll give away credit which comes for the success, so that I don't get attached. The moment I get attached, I'll be stuck. And second is, don't be attached to comforts by giving up comforts, whatever comforts come our way. If we can start becoming a bit austere, it's also good for health also. Uh, and that way we won't be attached. So many a times, even when we are giving up on comforts, we show others that, what, I gave this up. So that attachment also can be detrimental for our progress. So the ninth guru, which is guru mentioned here, is the Python. What do we learn from the Python is detachment. But Python actually accepts whatever comes on its own accord. It doesn't go and hunt. It doesn't go and go to work the way we go to work to make our money, to make our living. It Python comfortably relaxes. A prey passes by, then Python ends up eating that prey. It doesn't take that extra effort. So now by that we are not saying that one should become lazy and do nothing. Uh, but what we are trying to say is being detached from the fruits which come, rather than just focusing on doing our duty, rather than being attached to the results of or the outcome of that duty in the best possible way. Because in what happens is many a times when things don't go our way, if we are attached to that particular process, then we won't try something else. We'll continue with that particular thing only because we'll be attached. We won't think beyond what we are doing. So last, I mean, and we are tested when we are actually trying to detach ourselves. We get tested very badly. So the last year, I mean, for I think almost 2 to 3 months, there was a time I was not making any income, and that's something that, I mean, that particular time I was like badly tested. So for a moment, I thought, it's better I should go get back to a full-time job rather than continuing in business because nothing was working out. Uh, some deals got postponed, some got cancelled for I don't know whatever reason that may be. So that was the faith. I mean, that was a trying moment, and then internally I was thinking, now what, and then I realized, I'm becoming over attached to my duties. I said, I'll continue with my duty and leave the rest to Krishna. Wholeheartedly leave the rest, try to wholeheartedly leave. And then soon the wheels started moving. But it's very difficult to put that in practice. I'm also struggling with it. The best what we can do is to have multiple backups so that we are not attached. We are detached from whatever we are doing. So if you are in an XYZ job at the moment, uh, instead of thinking what will happen if I lose this job, start thinking what can I do next if I lose this job. Something called a individual continuity plan. In the corporate world, they have a business continuity plan. In the art, this thing we can have that individual continuity plan. But now the best part is all our plans can fail. Especially in a situation like COVID, I realized the best of the plans, even if you have multiple plans, backup plans, all kinds of plans, in many cases, all those plans fail until we reach the point where we feel, Krishna's plan is the highest plan. We can have those backups and have the final kind of this thing that, Krishna's plan is the highest plan. If all of this doesn't work, I will still not uh, mentally go down. I'll have complete dependence on Krishna. Then I tried my best. I had multiple plans also. But in spite of those plans, everything failed. And thank you for making me realize that your plan is the highest plan. So this is what I think we can do for detachment. At least make some steps. Even in sevas, many a times we have, at times we have over dependency. But if we have a backup plan, then we are not attached to, oh, why, I mean, how come this devotee didn't come up? He had said I will be there. Now he says I can't make it. I have something urgent come up, and this has happened twice. This has happened thrice. If you have backup plan, you'll be detached that okay, if he's not able to make it, I have plan B, which can be executed. So it works on multiple fronts to put detachment in practice to some extent. So from ninth Guru, we'll move into the 10th Guru, which is the ocean. Ocean is, Srila Prabhupada talks about, how our mind should be grave like the ocean. Like thousands of rivers discharge water into the ocean, but the ocean doesn't crosses its boundaries. It doesn't overflow and impact others, saying that, I've got overload, now let me pass this on to someone else. Otherwise, there'll be havoc in the country we live in. So in our lives, all sorts of temptations and difficulties and troubles will come our way. And and there is a nice saying also, there's those who sweat in peace bleed less in war. So if you have sweat in peace or sweat in comfortable times, and then we'll bleed less when we are faced with a war-like situation or an oceanic situation. And I remember on one occasion, I mean, I had the responsibility of working on the project of New Jersey Department of Transportation, where I had to, interconnect 21 counties which are part of New Jersey, from Hudson County to Mercer County to Morris County to multiple counties which you have in your state. And it was a system which would, help them take decision on. It was an multimodal system I had to build. Now, the worst part of this is that I had to deal with 21 stakeholders from 21 counties, which was the most difficult thing. managing one individual is a challenge. Here I'm put in a situation where I have to manage 21 stakeholders. So the initial, I think, months of when I was working on this project, I just felt like giving up, and I even almost told my boss that, can you give me some other work? I don't want to work on this project. So he made me realize. He said, if you are able to, rework on yourself rather than thinking, this person is not like this person is like this person is like this, and sharing, all the faults which you are seeing in other people, or challenges you are seeing in other people. Look, introspect, see what best you can do to rework on uh, your own self, to see how best you can work with them. So I took his advice seriously, and I reworked on myself, and with gravity, and focused on developing the right mood. I was able to bounce back, and that project which was coming to an end, it turned out to be an award-winning project. So some of these things make a big difference if we rework on ourselves. So the 11th guru will more. So here the commitment could be, if you are challenged, if you're provoked, instead of trying to blame the situation, see how you can make changes to rework on your own self. So the 11th guru, which is mentioned here, is the moth. And then Srila Prabhupada talks about importance of controlling senses. When we see the moth, what moth does is, whenever it sees fire, it gets attracted to the fire, not realizing his life will come to an end, because it doesn't mind entering the fire, uh, because the glow of the fire is so attractive that the moth cannot control its senses. So Srila Prabhupada often mentions the biggest attraction in this world is the attraction for the opposite sex, and we see in multiple cases, how people get trapped in this particular thing, and they end up uh, uh, getting stuck uh, in those attachments. Even in Ramayana, we see how Shrupanka was attracted to Lord Ram, not realizing she is playing with fire. And vice versa, Ravan didn't see he's playing with fire when he kidnapped Sita. So in different places, different scenarios, we see how the attraction for opposite sex can be detrimental in one's progress in spiritual life. It can affect one's progress in spiritual life, and it affects every individual in three stages: with thinking, feeling, and willing. And it all begins with a thought. And if we are able to manage ourselves at the thought level, then we will be able to safeguard ourselves. And Mahatma Gandhi would always have those three monkeys: Burana Deko, Burana Socho, Burana Bolo. Don't think evil, don't say evil, don't speak evil. So I think those three monkeys, probably, if they are in front of you, it will remind you uh, of controlling the senses in the best possible way. While we shouldn't be attached to the monkeys, otherwise we'll have to come back to take again another birth. Probably we might get a monkey body. So it's important to be attached to the message. So here the commitment, I think, could be avoiding sweets in the night, yogurt in the night, reading Krishna book every night, drinking hot milk every night. These are some of the tips which we have gathered from different places, where Srila Prabhupada has shared, based on his experience, what can work well for people. And going to bed with amazing thoughts, which can remind us of Krishna, and Krishna is the real protector who can save us from Maya. And then these are certain things which you can do if we make commitment. Those commitments are for our benefit, for our spiritual enlightenment, for our uh, progress in spiritual life. The 12th guru, which is being talked about, is the honeybee, which only collects small amounts of food. And this is also something which is very difficult. I mean, we don't collect food because we collect money. Whichever jobs we work, it's all about cash. And we don't know where to draw the line. Many a times, in pursuit of making a living, we end up losing a life. So it's something which is more individualistic. We have to decide our priorities. We have to decide what best we can do. and this goes with the verse which is Atyara Prayasacha Prajalponyam Agra. In Nectar of Instruction, there is a verse, over endeavoring or over collecting or over doing anything. And in English also, there is a saying, excess is always bad. So collecting small amounts, and many a time situations force people to live on small amounts. I remember when my grandparents were living in Karachi, all of a sudden they were faced uh, with a challenge that they had to leave everything within minutes. Everything, their home, their car, their comforts, their luxuries, the furniture and the utensils and many, many, many different things. Overnight, they had to leave and migrate to uh, India, that too with nothing, coming as refugees. And it wasn't an easy situation. I recollect listening to my grandmother would often say that we would survive on rotis and bananas when we lived as refugees. And she would often say we were living happily with rotis and bananas. There was no conflict. And as they bounced back, the more money came, and then the conflicts and other things started coming in between the brothers and the sisters and the siblings, and the challenges grew. But when they were on rotis and bananas every day, they were more happier. There were no indigestion, no other challenges which came uh, with the growth which they chased. So, and we see from other perspective also, India has become the BP diabetes heart capital of the world because we've got used to or addicted to chasing much more or achieving much more than what we can digest. Uh, and there's a famous saying, Captain Batra, who actually gave his life during the Kargil war, he would often say, Ye dil mange more. And I feel, that famous statement, if it's used in Krishna consciousness, that can help us more versus, focusing on ye dil mange more, than I want more, 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 which can trap us. And in the world of sustainability also, they're talking about reduce, recycle, reuse. And the more people, work towards that, the more better off they would be, provided that effort or whatever one is doing is centered around Krishna. So something what one can do is don't get trapped when you are going into malls. We come across offers in India. We come across offer buy one get three free. Especially when you go to malls. If you go to a small store which is selling clothing, they don't give you these offers. Otherwise, they will go bankrupt. So I think certain things, if we are able to put that we'll only collect or buy something which is required for our life. And I think a lot of non-devotees are also now focusing on living a life of minimalist, where they're minimizing their needs. And Srila Prabhupada has very easily given utility is the principle. If things are not of any use to us, why buy them? Why spend extra cash on those things for which we don't have utility? So here the commitment would be how we can, move towards living a life of a minimalist. And the more we are able to do that, then we are actually simplifying our needs. We are actually collecting small amount or using uh, small amount or less amount of resources for our own well-being or our own or sustaining our lives. So with this, I mean, there could be these commitments which could help individuals. With this, I would like to open to questions. Anyone has any questions? So these are the 6 gurus I thought, we'll talk about today. And then take questions if you have. Now we've covered 12 gurus. If you have any questions, we can take those questions.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Just before we go into questions, I'll just go through our upcoming programs quickly. Let me share my screen. Hare Krishna, everyone. So this coming Sunday, we have Arundhati Mataji speaking on Bhagavad Gita Sunday class. Also, we have Ekadashi coming up this Saturday. So fasting from grains and beans, it's Varutini Ekadashi, and Sunday's fast breaking time is between 5:49 a.m. and 8:14 a.m. And for the rest of our events, you can visit our website to see what's going on. And some people have been asking about certain programs that they missed on Sundays or festival days. If you go to our website or YouTube, you search for our ISKCON of Bergen page or channel, you will see all the videos have been uploaded there, and all the previous lectures are there as well. So with that, we'll open the floor for any question anyone may have. I was also thinking, Prabhu, that maybe we can have a spreadsheet sent out to devotees where they can jot down 24 gurus that they can meditate upon and think about, from scriptures, from dealings with people on a day-to-day basis, or anything where they feel that they learned something and jot it down. And maybe in the fourth session or the third or fourth session at the end, we can read them out anonymously.
I think you have a screen, like a wallpaper of 24 gurus we can leverage on that.
Yeah. Anybody?
Very good suggestion, I think. And then those images, those visuals help us because we, as human beings, we relate to visuals more than text. So
Right,
those
right.
visuals can act as a reminder in our life.
Correct. So anybody has a question? You can either text me or just raise your hand and ask. There's no foolish question. If there's something that's lingering on your mind for a while, it may be on somebody else's mind too. So feel free to ask. In the meantime, Prabhu, I'd like to know how you came to Krishna consciousness and for the benefit of others, and what keeps you going.
How I came to Krishna consciousness, I would say, when I was 2 years old, I lost my father. He was in textiles, and all of a sudden, life changed. My mother was struggling. We were struggling financially, and I think whichever the relative we went to, they thought we might become a burden for the entire life on them. So our life was like football, moving out of different relatives' homes. And unfortunately, many of them looked down on us because we were not financially well off. Intellectually, also, I wasn't well off. So there was one thing which was missing, which was love. I was looking for love in my life. So eventually I got to college, and, as natural, I mean, we were talking about attraction for the opposite sex. So we're looking for love in someone in the opposite sex. And I found someone, didn't work out, and that kind of, made me disheartened. So I felt this is probably end of life, end of world, and then probably no one loves me. So in that situation, then somebody, noticed in my neighborhood. He said, why don't you go to Vaishno Devi? Those days, Vaishno Devi was something everybody used to go in my neighborhood. And and then we started on a trip to Vaishno Devi. On the way, there is a place called Ambala, which is closer to Jammu. There was a bomb blast on that railway track. So our train couldn't move further. I think they had a plan to blow up our train. But I think that particular day the train was delayed by a few hours, so it missed the bomb blast. I think the timing there was a mismatch, so it was a narrow escape. I mean, we heard the noise, but we were saved. So I think 20-30 hours we were stuck in the train till the time they reroute the train and investigate and others. Finally, when we reached Jammu, there was curfew in the city, and I still recollect, and I felt, even gods don't love me uh, because it's not working out. So I remember kicking one bench which was there, and then one, I think, saintly person said, if this one doesn't work out, why don't you go to Haridwar? And then went to Haridwar. Someone gave me Bhagavad Gita, came back to Mumbai, and I think it was 96 during Prabhupada, 1996 Prabhupada centennial, 100 years of celebration. And that's the time I first came to ISKCON. And and coming to ISKCON was, I mean, the place, I mean, where I felt, it's the place where I found the love I was looking for. And the real love, I would say, the spiritual love, the spiritual affection. And that made, and that kind of, kept me hooked, hooked to the moment. And what keeps me going is I think, I would say the devotees, I mean, yes, there are times where we have challenges. As I mentioned, the comforts in the material world, the comforts at times take you away from Krishna. They make you feel that you have arrived. They make you feel uh, that you are the doer. And that ahankara gets ahankara vimudatma karta hamiti manyate. We start thinking I am the karta. And then that the moment we think we are the controllers, we are the doers, and we start going away from. So yes, I mean there were times also where we are not always on a upward highway curve. There were times also where we experienced bumps, where the whole focus was full focus. I would say uh, was on material achievements, while maintaining the vows. I mean, yes, we have taken the vows. I mean, if I wouldn't have taken the vow, I think of 16 rounds for regulatory principle, I think I would have crossed the boundaries also. So so I think that kept me going. But then you learn also when you go away, then you realize. When you are faced with bumps and then you are faced with realities, you realize that this is nothing but hot sand in the desert. For experiencing oasis, you have to go back to Krishna consciousness. So many a times, I mean, the biggest challenge I would say comes is many a times we are not able to ignore others' faults. We are not able to accept others' faults, which we are able to do in the outside world. In Krishna consciousness, we feel, how come this person can do this? How come he can do this? We don't realize every individual comes with their baggage of conditioning. So instead of looking at or harping on those faults, if we start, focusing on looking at the positives, then it's only helps us. Otherwise, we start moving away. So these are some of the things which I think life in Krishna consciousness has taught me.
Amazing. How you were the only son, or you have brothers, sisters?
No, I was the only son.
You're the only son, and having lost your father at the age of 2, I can't imagine any one of us being in that situation. And that just gives so much. It's just hearing your story gives so much gratitude to Krishna that at least I can say my condition that where we are. So when you look at other devotees' lives, also we can learn so much from that. Um, that how many devotees have gone through so many challenges and still they've come out fine. And in our case, we have all the luxuries that we can ask for, any common man can ask for. So it's amazing. And yeah,
All I can say is Krishna is kind. Even when I was in New Jersey, I mean, at the $6,000 story which I shared, I mean, some of my relatives were nothing against them, but at that point of time, I mean, all I can say it was Krishna who takes care in the time of greatest need. I miss mentioning the place where I got those $6,000. I mean, that person's entire floor had paintings of Krishna.
can you share that $6,000 story again?
So that 6,000, I mean, I'd come to US. I mean, I didn't have money to pay for my tuition, and I was denied scholarship. The dean of the university said you have to pay $6,000 in 6 months, otherwise you have to go back to your country. So in that small window of 6 months, it was challenging to collect 6,000. In those days was a lot of cash in 1990s. And that time, I think the maximum per hour, I mean, on an odd job, they would pay is $5 an hour. I don't know how much it is now, the minimum wage. And then for the on-campus max is you can get is $10 an hour.
Hmm.
So I know if I have to take out my living expenses, which were about $350 a month. So in on campus, if I work, I'll maximum make is about $700-800. And in this $200, if I collect for 6 months, it would be $1,200. Where will I get the rest of $4,800? So that was something which was impossible. And I started, approaching people for odd jobs. And on one occasion, I came across someone who heard my story that I need for education. And he got me, I think, $6,000 from through his connects. And the place where I got was, I mean, the paintings. I mean, only thing I had was to pray to Krishna that now Krishna, it's in your hands. I am lost. I have no other way to continue. Uh, so how it works? I mean, it's all we experience. We experience certain miracles. I mean, those are not miracles, but I mean, you see hand of Krishna, and Krishna really takes care. And those days also, I mean, from childhood, we got disconnected from my entire father's side. I was not connected even with one person. And then during COVID, I mean, at one place I was doing a session for Tata Communications, and coincidentally, my father's brother's son used to work there, and then he connected with me, and after multiple conversations, we reconnected. Through him, I got reconnected with, I think, almost 35 family members who were disconnected for 45 years. And then the best part is many are taking up to Krishna consciousness. One is also aspiring from Indradumna Swami. So this is amazing to see how maybe, and then when I reflect back, initially I was thinking, I don't know what Krishna had in mind that I got disconnected with them for 45 years. And then when I look back, then I felt, if I would have not got disconnected, probably I would have not got Krishna consciousness. So maybe it was for my good that disconnection helped me realize the futility of material life, which made me look for the real solution.
Thank you for sharing your how you came to Krishna, which is really heart touching. Anybody else has any comment or question for Mahaprakash Prabhu? Okay. No
I think
question.
Vijayalakshmi Mataji has shared something, and yeah, those were not easy times. I think almost 1 million people lost their life while crossing the borders, especially the ones who came by road from Karachi and other cities in Pakistan to India. I think there were many who actually lost their lives. And then in the material world is, I mean, we are seeing now people in Ukraine. I mean, unfortunately, so many devotees also got affected. I don't think 3-4 years ago they would have ever thought this can ever happen.
True.
Even in wildlife. So there is a lot of uncertainty in the material world. We don't know in our this thing, even when after they experience this Pakistan incident, the partition between India Pakistan. Parents would also, prepare us with one another saying, which was "Kana mela kya jari." They'll always say anything can happen at any point of time. So don't be attached, because they had experienced it firsthand. So they were prepared for the worst.
Yeah, it is through these types of sanghas, when we hear these stories, it gives us hope, and it reminds us that, hey, Krishna will protect us, because everybody goes through problems. Everybody has different problems. Some have mental problems, relations, financial, bodily. But when we hear these stories, it gives us so much encouragement that, hey, you know what? If Mahaprakash Prabhu, without having lost his father at age 2, mother and him going from house to house, begging to stay somewhere, and still coming out with all the credentials that you have, and seeing Krishna's hands throughout the journey, what are my problems compared to that? And why don't we have that faith that Krishna says, Nami Bhaktya Pranashyate? So it's that is the one of the main reasons that this coming in this association and hearing Krishna Kathas, hearing the stories of devotees, it just reminds us and puts our perspective in the right place, that do not worry, just put your effort in and then leave it for Krishna. If one thing is not working for us, that means he's waiting for us to stop doing this so the other door can be opened by him. Wonderful. Jai Draupadi Mataji, are you trying to say something? I don't see your hand raised, but
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam, Jai Srila Prabhupada. Wonderful, wonderful. As you mentioned, all the things, yes, very inspiring, very, very inspiring for all of us. Yeah, and you were seeing Krishna's hand in all the situations. As we are new in Krishna conscious, what would you suggest for the youth and for all of us? How should we see Krishna's?
I, yes, so I think the best way is to increase our faith and with association and practice. We start seeing. Uh, Krishna's hand in every situation we experience. And then material world is designed in a way that everyone will get provoked. We'll never be on a highway. If that happens, this one won't be dukkhalayam ashvashatam, it will be sukhalayam ashvashatam. And we would never want to leave this place, or never even want to think of leaving this place for eternity. But the reason it's designed, it's a jail where certain percentage of people are put in. And then if we think of it, and even in other, if we see, religions which people practice in Christianity, in the Saint Thomas version of Bible, they say this world is a bridge, cross over it. Don't make house upon it. So I think the lessons, if people start applying in the corporate world, they say application is the key. The challenge comes in the application. When we are tested, our faith is shaken. Many a time we feel why Krishna is doing this to us, rather than thinking, probably there is something which is better. So it had happened with me also. I mean, after 12 years of working in Mahindra, I joined another company, which is a multinational company. And because of COVID, within few months, they fired a lot of people. And then job was a high paying job where I got almost 40% more than what I was getting earlier. And then in the initial thought was, why is this happening to me all of a sudden? What have I done? I haven't done anything wrong to anyone. But then from higher perspective, probably there is something better which is written for you. There were times, I came down to, I think, almost 1/20th of the salary I was making. So, but now if you compare, the problem comes is when we compare. When we compare ourselves with others, when we compare ourselves, our current situation with our past situation. And that comparison leads to complaint, and then that complaint leads to cribbing, and that cribbing leads to it affects us. So I think if we fall in that trap of complaining, cribbing, it only affects us in our journey.
All right. So
Prabhuji, I think you wanted to know about the background. Yes, there were multiple backgrounds available on Zoom, but when I came across this, I realized that, this material world is like an ocean, and Krishna, being kind, it turns that ocean into a water which is contained in the footprint of a baby car. So that's the mercy of Krishna, and he creates that bridge so that we can cross over it. So you see the bridge, you see the ocean, and you see Krishna, which is Surya Saman. Surya is also there. So, and then if we take shelter of the Supreme Lord, then we can cross over this big ocean, which can impact us.
I think he was asking about my backdrop. Like, why do I have these animals and other entities?
Oh, okay. Oh, that's a background of 24 gurus.
Yes. Kirit Prabhu, if you share me your phone number or email address, I will send it to you. So what I was thinking is, I mentioned earlier that maybe we can have an exercise for the next time to jot down during the week or 2 weeks different gurus or gurus, meaning from whom we can take an instruction, we can take some inspiration. And I was just searching on this topic of 24 gurus that the Avaduta Brahman or the Tatreya saw and learned from the 24. And I came across this nice article where this devotee, that how he found 24 gurus in different devotees and different things. So I was thinking that maybe we can read through it, and if there's no further questions, then I can dive into that.
I think that sounds very interesting, and you can actually find. I mean, one of the things which I was going to bring it up. I mean, I'm not sure. I mean, how often do you go to malls and other places? I mean, on one occasion, I went to a particular mall where I came across multiple gurus with the brand names which were there. There was a store by the name of Gap, and it made me think, what are the gaps in my life which I need to address?
Mm.
And I started jotting it down. There was a store by the name of MindFit. It started questioning me, is your mind fit? We do mantra meditation, we chant Hare Krishna, but are we still that is able to evolve mentally?
Mm.
So one of the things which you can help is pressing the pause button, because in the world we live in, we continue moving from one place to another place, doing one thing to doing another thing without pressing the pause button. So if we press the pause button, then we can reflect, rethink, and see what we can do to evolve in our journey.
Right. So we'll end here, but we will continue with. I'll just share my screen so we can read through that. It's not a long article. It was quite interesting, I found. So let's see what you all can see my screen.
Yes, we can read big writing. I think it's very tiny.
Sorry?
The scripts are very small, I guess. I see.
It is small. Maybe on the phone it might be.
Yes, on the phone, yes.
Okay. So what I'm going to do is there's 24 gurus that he finds. Maybe I can request, one person read each guru. So I'm going to just call out the names, and I'd request you to please read it while I highlight the portion that I'm going to highlight. So we'll start with Ashish Prabhu. Gaurav.
Prabhu, I'm on the phone and it's kind of very tiny, but I can try. No problem.
Okay.
Hare Krishna, 12 January. Gaurang, as I completed my morning japa rounds, the story that of Sri Dattatreya somehow came into my mind, and I questioned myself what I have learned from the devotees and surrounding near me during the recent Ujjain retreat with the Bhakti Charuswami Maharaj at Ujjain. The topic was Uddhava Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, 11th canto. Guru Maharaj explained in one of the initial session about the 24 gurus of Dattatreya and how the sage learned from each of them and treated them as his guru. I am summarizing them below. Sri Dattatreya had 24 teachers from the nature as he told King Yadu, the earth, air, breeze, sky, fire, the sun, pigeon, python, sea, moth, elephant, ant, fish, pingala, and courtesan, arrow maker, infant, playful boy, the moon, honeybee, deer, bird of prey, maiden, serpent, spider, caterpillar, and water are my 24 preceptors. Should I continue? I took my...
Yeah, you can read that sentence.
Yes. I took out my pad and started writing on what all I have learned and from whom.
Okay, you can pause there. Meeta, can you read the first one?
Sorry, Prabhu, can somebody else go? I'll go next. Thanks.
Sure. Poonam, can you read the first one? Pradeep?
Yes, Prabhu. From whom His Holiness
No,
Rukmini.
yeah.
Okay. Hedji Rukmini Krishna Prabhu, Temple President Punjabi Bagh, New Delhi. From him, I'm learning to always be helpful towards others, irrespective of where they come from, and give them an honest and sincere advice by which they can develop the Krishna consciousness. He's always approachable, completely dedicated to serving all Vaishnavas and following his Guru Maharaj and Srila Prabhupada's instructions.
Thank you. Preeti, can you read second?
Hare Krishna. From where? Okay, I see the blue one.
Second one, yeah. Second Guru.
Okay. Mukul Prabhu, Delhi. He brought me into Krishna consciousness. He's an ex-financial whiz kid. And after leaving his job, he now consults to SMEs. He has turned each of his clients into Krishna consciousness. He's always calm, whatever may be the circumstance. I am learning from him to always remain peaceful.
Thank you. Sonal, can you read third one?
Yes, Prabhu. Sumit Prabhu Gurgaon, a very dear friend, like an elder brother. He's very honest, practical, and a sincere devotee. I'm learning from him how to take my family along, and that keeping them happy is very important for my own spiritual journey. He continues to give me practical advice, which helps me tremendously. He comes from a Vaishnava family, and I can always follow his advice with my eyes closed.
Thank you. Sumit Prabhu, can you read four?
Prabhu, can we remove the cursor, please? Tree in front of my house. Till a few months back, we used to live on fourth floor, an apartment building, and whenever I would come to study to do my yoga, I could see the middle and top of the huge tree. Almost every single day, as soon as I would remove my glasses to start the yoga, I would see some form of Krishna in it and very clear. Sometimes I would even call my wife and ask her, can't you see Radha and Krishna in the tree? And I would try show her their form. She would reply, yes, the shape is there, but it is probably more in my own mind. But I would see Lord Jagannath or many other forms of the Lord almost every single time, complete with their facial expression and skin color. The lesson for me was that Lord is there in every atom. Whenever I have devotion and faith in my eyes, He manifested. Yes, now we have shifted to the second floor of the same building. The same tree is just right outside my balcony and much more closer. I worship him as a part of Govardhan. Why? I have no idea. My heart said, whenever you see him, please pay obeisance as Govardhan, and I do it every morning.
Thank you, Prabhu. Number 5, can I request Archana to please read? Okay, Kirit Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, but I can't see. I'm watching from mobile.
Okay, no problem. Kirit Prabhu.
Same thing. I guess I can try. It's still very tiny writing on my cell phone.
Okay.
Where are we reading from?
I've highlighted it.
Did you highlight the blue?
Yes.
Okay, I see. Number 5. Atma and Ananda Prabhuji, Gurgaon. They are They are very talented twin brothers and are blessed to get personal service of serving Guru Maharaj. Their dedication to Guru Maharaj is commendable by all standards and a benchmark for me. I'm learning from them what is meant by serving our gurus.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Number 6, Sudesh Prabhu.
Prabhuji, I cannot
Okay,
because
okay.
yeah, once
No.
I move, it disappears.
Okay, okay, no problem. Okay, no problem. Gaurav Prabhu.
His Grace Ganga Narayan Prabhuji, Co-President Ujjain Temple, such a humble devotee. I have yet to meet a more knowledgeable, dedicated, and humble sannyasi in waiting. I am sure there would be others in ISKCON, but for me, he is benchmark of humility. I am learning from him how to be always humble from the core of my heart.
Okay. Aradhya Radhika, you want to read 7?
Deities. I learned building relationships from them, starting from Vrindavan to Punjabi Bagh to my own home. They always respond to love and affection. You may call my crazy, but my small Laddu Gopalji change expressions many a times. I have written in my earlier blogs about my past realizations in Punjabi Bagh and Vrindavan. Simply divine, amazing, and most merciful. I learn from them with whom
to develop. You're on mute.
Sorry, from whom to develop my relationships with.
Okay, thank you. Next one, number 8, Purnima. Okay, Chaitra Padmanath.
Electricity pole. When I was in the 4th floor apartment, another thing that I could see out from my study window, besides the tree, was a giant electricity pole. Somehow I always took it as one of the portion of Krishna's food, like a Virat Purusha form of Krishna. I learned from him that nothing living or non-living is separate from Krishna.
Gopal Govind Prabhu, thank you. Number 9. Sri Harsha Prabhu.
Punjabi Bagh Temple Community. I learned from them how to serve all Vaishnavas as equal. I always saw a festive atmosphere whenever a senior sannyasi would visit the temple. In fact, it was after a year that I found the special position of His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami, as each senior sannyasi was accorded the same love and welcome.
Thank you. Number 10, Vijay Lakshmi Mataji.
Jagannath Puri Dhama. I learned how does one feel when one steps into the Darbar court of the Lord. My first experience, which I shared in detail in one of my previous blogs, was transcendental. I would never forget that feeling in my heart. I learned how small and funny I am in the overall scheme of things. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you. Madhvi Sita, number 11. Okay.
TV Vrindavan Dham. I learned from the Holy Dham to be always merciful towards everyone, irrespective, pure, polluted, or zero consciousness. Everyone gets the mercy. Prabhuji, Punjabi Bagh.
No, that's number 12. Yeah, you can end there. Actually, you missed this sentence. If you can just read is irrespective of who comes to Vrindavan.
Can you highlight what I'm supposed to read?
Yeah.
Irrespective, pure, polluted, or zero consciousness, everyone gets the mercy.
Thank you. And Ram Tulsi Prabhu, read 12. Okay, whoever is able to read now, Gopal Govind Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu, I can read.
How about if you just highlight everything in blue, whatever needs to be read?
Okay.
That might be easier for the person.
Okay, I'll do that. Thank you.
Number 12.
Yeah, like that. Yeah.
Bagh. I do not even know the name Bodhi, but I see every time I am there. Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay. He would mop temple floor every day before Guru Puja. He would never look around for help. Summer or winter, he is there. Then very humbly, he would stand in the last line and dance during the Guru Puja. I learned from him to always remain unseen in our service and never try to take any credit or aspire for glorification by others.
Thank you. Archana, you want to do now? Try now.
Yes, Prabhuji. 13. Buying a house, Gurgaon. I shared my experience while buying my new house in one of early blogs in details. One person, one on whom I depended the most, pulled the rug right under my feet. And at the very last moment, I learned from that experience to never dislike anyone, that they are just messengers of what I did in my past. And it is due to the mercy of Lord that I am getting its consequences in a far lesser doses. And I must always remain under the shelter of the Lord. He knows what is best for me. Hare
Thank you. Thank you. Number Imai Karuna Prabhu, 14.
Yes, yoga. I practice yoga for 3 years or so, and I learned how to sit at one place and meditate.
Okay, number 15, Srinivas Govind Prabhu.
Prabhuji, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. My wife, Preeti, I learned from her the boundless patience and love she had for the kids. I had to copy the same for Krishna and his devotees.
Thank you. Yashoda Gopi.
Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else that has not yet? Purnima?
Hare Krishna Prabhu. I cannot read because the screen is very small for me here.
Okay, no problem. Anybody else would like to? Please go ahead.
I will read, Prabhu. Subi Prabhu, Delhi, is a very enthusiastic devotee and always full of energy. For anything connected with devotional service, I learned from him to be always enthusiastic in any service given to us.
Jai. Number 17, whoever would like to go.
I can go, Prabhu.
Go ahead.
Jain Temple community. What a wonderful set of devotees and epitome of hospitality. I am trying to learn to think of myself as a servant of every Vaishnava. I couldn't read the. Okay, treat each of them as my own master.
Okay, thank you. I think I covered everybody, but if I've missed anyone, please don't hesitate to unmute yourself and read the next. Let's keep going so we don't lose time. Anyone can unmute and read.
I can read, Prabhu.
Go ahead.
18, Among Lila Prabhu, Delhi. He has a gift for humor and is wonderful preacher. Now, vice president of the Dwarka temple, I am learning how we can use humor as a strong tool in preaching, and that I should not be serious all the time.
Thank you. Next.
19.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Go ahead, Archana Mataji, and the next Nimai Karuna Prabhu.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Radheshyam Prabhu Gurgaon, before he shifted to Vrindavan Dham, his service to devotees was unmatched in Gurgaon. He served and served, never in the limelight. I am learning from him to always strive to serve the devotees with the best of my ability.
Thank you. Nimai Karuna Prabhu, and then next, whoever wants to, please be ready.
My son Samir. He is always carefree and gets back into cheerfulness within seconds of being scolded or upset about something. I am learning from him to never feel bad or sulk about any particular incident or behavior, as that particular moment has already passed and I should look for what best I can do in this present moment.
Thank you. Next.
Tulsi Maharani, she takes birth in so many homes. She does not desire anything for her own self other than helping devotees connect with Sri Krishna, and she is happy being always under Lord's lotus feet. I am learning from her to always remain in the shelter of my Guru and Krishna. That is my happiest position.
Thank you. Somebody else?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Go ahead.
His Grace, Her Grace, Mahadevi Mataji, Vrindavan. Mataji is a disciple of Srila Prabhupada. I wrote about her in one of my previous vlog on how I met her during the procession of taking Srila Prabhupada's deity to all the Goswami temples in Vrindavan, and how she reciprocated with Srila Prabhupada in that journey. I am learning from him how we can reciprocate with Srila Prabhupada and feel his divine presence around us at all times.
Okay. Thank you. Next, somebody.
His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj. I learned from him how the mere glance of a pure Vaishnava can purify me, and I must always hanker to get darshan of pure devotees of the Lord.
Okay. And then the last one.
Neelu Delhi, she is the HR manager in our small company. She is always respectful towards everyone. She would even address our office peon and drivers with such humility that initially I used to get upset about it. I'm learning from her to always give respect to others, irrespective of what social order they belong to. Last but not the least, I have realized in that in spite of having these 24 gurus, 24 moons, I can learn nothing till I do not have a special half moon in my life. My spiritual master. Without the mercy of my spiritual master, all my learning enter from one ear and go out from the other ear. It's only by the mercy of my spiritual master that each learning enters from one ear and then penetrate my heart rather going out from the other ear. This helps get me realizations. Now the 24 and half moons are completed. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga.
Good. Wasn't it beautiful? Wonderful how he's extracting learnings from different places.
If you can share that article on the platform.
I can do that. What do you guys find that? Did you learn something from that? Everybody?
Yes, I think I can say whoever we meet, whatever interaction we have with any living beings, I think that's the look something good in them rather than not, and try to imbibe the goodness, whatever they can teach with their karmas in their lives, and we can learn from them. Thank you.
Thank you. So what we'll do in the next session is I'll share a spreadsheet, a Google spreadsheet where individuals can go in and enter their 24 gurus. You don't have to put your name. You don't need to, feel shy about it, but sincerely look for, and from this we can hear, the one that touched my heart was he talked about one person who he doesn't even know the name of, right? The person who was coming and mopping the floor before Guru Puja every day, and during Kirtan standing in the back, just dancing and very dedicated to that service of mopping the floor without fail. Then there was another one where he's learning from his son, who when he gets angry after a while, he just, he's just smiling, and he learns to get over problems and hurt feelings very quickly. So like that, you also keep your eyes open. Somebody talked about he talked about a colleague, not in Krishna consciousness, that from whom he learned. So similarly, starting tomorrow, my humble request to you all is that keep your eyes open and jot down, carry with you. You all have phones. In your phone, go to notes and write down 1 through 24 names of who you found inspiring. You learned something from that person and jot it down. You will benefit a lot from it, and others will also benefit. And then the next session, I'll share the Google Sheet. You can jot it down on your phone. You can start writing. And in the fourth session, what we'll do is read through or go through those and share with others. If you feel like putting your name, that's fine too, because there's nothing wrong in saying that, I learned something from X or Y. So wonderful. I look forward to it. Thank you very much. And see you all next Wednesday. Let's thank Mahaprakash Prabhu by loudly chanting Mahamantra.
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare
Krishna,
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Ram, Hare Ram.
Ram Ram.
Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Hare.
Please don't forget that exercise. Jot down 24 gurus starting tomorrow morning. Okay? Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mahaprakash Prabhu. Haribol.
Thank you, Prabhu.
I'll talk to you offline on when our next session can be, because we had 1 or 2 scheduled before. So I'll get back to you.
Sure, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, everyone.